A person walks down a quiet street, their image captured by a security camera. Another steps into an elevator, the doors closing behind them. Someone else is seen running, glancing over their shoulder as if afraid. Then, nothing, they are never seen again. Over the years, many people have disappeared without a trace, but some vanish in ways that seem almost impossible. Their last moments are caught on camera, yet the footage gives no clear answers. No signs of struggle, no explanation, just a person going about their day before they simply stop existing. Even now, in 2025, these cases remain unsolved. Where did they go? How could someone disappear while the world was watching? The truth is out there, hidden in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered. On a seemingly ordinary Tuesday morning in January 2006, Jennifer Kesse, a vibrant and ambitious 24-year-old, vanished without a trace from her home in Orlando, Florida. Jennifer was last seen the night before, after returning from a vacation, and her sudden disappearance has since become one of the most perplexing and haunting mysteries in recent history. With no signs of a struggle and only a few scattered clues left behind, the case has baffled investigators and left her family in a heart-wrenching limbo. The most chilling aspect, the last known image related to Jennifer's disappearance, comes from a grainy surveillance video of an unidentified figure casually walking away after abandoning her car, leaving behind nothing but questions. What happened to Jennifer Kesse, and how could someone vanish so completely in the middle of a bustling city? Jennifer Kesse was born on May 20, 1981 in Orlando, Florida, to parents Drew and Joyce Kesse. She grew up in a loving, close-knit family, along with her younger brother Logan. From an early age, Jennifer displayed a vibrant personality, a strong work ethic, and an unyielding determination to succeed. Her parents instilled in her the values of hard work, kindness, and resilience, which Jennifer carried with her throughout her life. Jennifer attended Vivian Gaither High School in Tampa, Florida, where she was a standout student. She was involved in numerous extracurricular activities including cheerleading, and was known for her leadership skills and ability to connect with others. Her natural charisma and warm personality made her popular among her peers, and she formed close friendships that lasted well into her adulthood. After graduating from high school in 1999, Jennifer moved to Orlando to attend the University of Central Florida, where she majored in finance. This marked a significant step in her life, as she transitioned from living at home to being an independent young woman. At UCF, Jennifer excelled academically, demonstrating a natural aptitude for finance and business. She was driven and disciplined, maintaining high grades while also enjoying an active social life. Upon graduating from UCF in 2003, Jennifer quickly secured a job as a financial analyst with Central Florida Investments Timeshare Company in Ocoee, Florida. Jennifer's role at CFI was a perfect fit for her skills and ambitions, and she quickly made a name for herself within the company. Known for her professionalism, attention to detail, and dedication to her work, Jennifer was on a clear path to a successful career. She was well liked by her colleagues, who admired her work ethic and her friendly, approachable demeanor. By 2006, Jennifer was living independently in her own condominium at the Mosaic at Millenia, a recently developed gated community in Orlando. The condo represented a significant milestone in Jennifer's life, an achievement that symbolized her success, independence, and the bright future ahead of her. She took great pride in her home, decorating it to reflect her personality and creating a space where she could unwind after a busy day. Jennifer had recently returned from a romantic vacation in St. Croix with her boyfriend Rob Allen, with whom she had been in a committed relationship for over a year. The couple, despite living in different cities, Jennifer in Orlando and Rob in Fort Lauderdale, maintained a strong long-distance relationship. They were deeply in love, regularly talking on the phone, visiting each other on weekends, and making plans for their future together. However, as with any relationship, there were challenges. The distance between them sometimes caused stress, and Jennifer had expressed concerns to her friends and family about some of the maintenance workers at her condominium complex. She mentioned feeling uncomfortable with the way some of them would stare at her, especially when she was alone. Despite these concerns, Jennifer continued with her life, focusing on her career and her relationship with Rob. On Monday, January 23, 2006, Jennifer returned to work after her vacation in St. Croix. She was eager to catch up on tasks that had piled up in her absence and get back into her routine. That evening, she spoke with her parents on the phone as she did almost every day. During their conversation, Jennifer mentioned that she was tired but happy after her trip. She also spoke with Rob on the phone around 10 p.m., discussing their plans for the upcoming weekend. The conversation ended on a positive note, with the couple exchanging their usual goodnights and expressions of love. The next morning, Tuesday, January 24, 2006, began like any other day. Jennifer was expected at work by 8 a.m., but when she failed to arrive, her absence was immediately noticed. Jennifer was known for her punctuality and professionalism, so it was highly unusual for her not to show up without notifying someone. Her boss, concerned by her absence, tried calling her multiple times, but there was no answer. As the morning wore on, Jennifer's colleagues grew increasingly worried. By noon, when there was still no word from Jennifer, her employer contacted her parents, Drew and Joyce Kesse. Alarmed by the news, they immediately began trying to reach Jennifer themselves, but their calls went straight to voicemail. Knowing that this was completely out of character for their daughter, Drew and Joyce decided to drive the 2-hour distance from their home in Tampa to Orlando to check on her. Upon arriving at Jennifer's condominium, Drew and Joyce were immediately struck by the fact that her car was missing from its usual parking spot. They entered her unit with a spare key, and were surprised to find everything inside seemingly in order. There were no signs of a struggle or forced entry. Her bed was neatly made, her work clothes were laid out, and a wet towel was hanging in the bathroom, suggesting that she had taken a shower that morning. Her luggage from the trip was still unpacked and nothing appeared to be missing, except for Jennifer herself and her purse, cell phone, and car keys. As panic set in, Drew and Joyce realized that something was terribly wrong. They contacted the Orlando Police Department, who responded quickly and began treating Jennifer's disappearance as a potential abduction. The investigation was launched immediately, with detectives conducting interviews with friends, family, neighbors, and co-workers. They canvassed the area around Jennifer's condominium and searched for any clues that might lead to her whereabouts. A critical piece of evidence emerged the following day, January 25th, when Jennifer's black 2004 Chevy Malibu was found abandoned in the parking lot of the Huntington on the Green apartment complex, about a mile from her home. The car had been left there sometime between noon on January 24th and 8 a.m. on January 25th. This discovery was both a breakthrough and a new source of anxiety for the investigators and Jennifer's family. The police immediately secured the vehicle and began processing it for evidence. Inside the car they found a few items, including a DVD player and a pair of shoes, but nothing that provided any clear leads. The car appeared to be in good condition, with no signs of a struggle or forced entry. However, the most significant find came from the surveillance cameras at the apartment complex where the car was discovered. Surveillance footage captured a person of interest parking Jennifer's car at the complex around noon on January 24th, the day she disappeared. The footage showed a figure, dressed in white, casually walking away from the vehicle. The person's face was obscured by a gatepost in each frame, making identification impossible. Despite extensive analysis by law enforcement, the FBI, and private investigators, the person in the footage has never been identified, and their involvement in Jennifer's disappearance remains a critical unanswered question. With no solid leads, the investigation focused on the possibility that Jennifer had been abducted by someone she knew, or by a stranger who had been watching her. Detectives interviewed residents and workers at the Mosaic at Millenia, including the maintenance staff, but no one came forward with information that could explain her disappearance. The area around Jennifer's condo was searched extensively, but no significant evidence was found. As the investigation continued through the following weeks and months, detectives delved into Jennifer's personal life, examining her relationships and recent activities. Rob Allen, who was in Fort Lauderdale at the time of Jennifer's disappearance, was interviewed and quickly ruled out as a suspect, as he had a solid alibi and was devastated by her disappearance. Despite the tireless efforts of law enforcement, Jennifer's case began to grow cold as the months passed with no new leads. Her family and friends, however, refused to give up hope. Drew and Joyce Kesse became relentless advocates for their daughter, pushing law enforcement to keep the case active and seeking out private investigators to explore new angles. They appeared on national television programs to raise awareness about Jennifer's disappearance, hoping that someone somewhere might have information that could lead to a breakthrough. In the years since Jennifer vanished, her case has remained one of the most baffling and high-profile missing person cases in Florida. Despite extensive media coverage, countless tips, and numerous theories, Jennifer's whereabouts remain unknown. The surveillance footage of the unidentified person leaving her car is one of the most significant pieces of evidence, yet it has yielded no answers. In 2018, the Orlando Police Department released over 16,000 pages of case files to the Kesse family, allowing them to hire their own private investigator to re-examine the evidence. The family continues to believe that Jennifer was abducted, possibly by someone who worked at her condominium complex or who had been watching her in the days leading up to her disappearance. Jennifer Kesse's story is a heartbreaking reminder of how a vibrant, successful young woman can disappear without a trace, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a family desperate for closure. Her disappearance continues to haunt those who knew and loved her, and the search for answers goes on. Jennifer's memory lives on in the hearts of her family and friends, who remain committed to finding out what happened to her and bringing her home. Brian Shaffer was a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, with a promising future and an outgoing personality. On the night of March 31, 2006, Brian went out with friends to celebrate the beginning of spring break. By the early hours of April 1st, he had vanished without a trace, leaving behind one of the most perplexing missing person cases in modern American history. Brian was born on February 25, 1979 in Pickerington, Ohio, a suburb of Columbus. He was the eldest of two sons in the Shaffer family with a younger brother named Derek. Brian was close to his family, particularly his mother, Renee Shaffer, who had been battling cancer for several years. Despite her illness, Renee had been a source of strength for Brian, who was pursuing a medical career, perhaps inspired in part by his mother's health struggles. Tragically, Renee passed away in March 2006. The loss was a significant emotional blow to Brian, but he seemed determined to carry on with his life, focusing on his studies and looking forward to a planned vacation with his girlfriend, Alexis Wagner, who was also a medical student at OSU. Brian was known for his easygoing personality, intelligence, and love for music. He was a fan of Jimmy Buffett, and his friends often joked that Brian would rather be playing guitar in a beachside bar than pursuing a career in medicine. His dream was to start a band, and he often talked about living a laid-back, carefree life by the ocean. Friends and family described him as charming, witty, and always up for a good time, which made his sudden and unexplained disappearance all the more shocking. On March 31, 2006, Brian met up with his friend, William Clint Florence, to celebrate the start of spring break. The two had planned a night of bar hopping in the Arena District of Columbus, a popular nightlife area known for its vibrant atmosphere and numerous bars and clubs. The evening began with dinner and drinks at the Ugly Tuna Saloon, a bar located in the South Campus Gateway complex near OSU. The Ugly Tuna was a favorite among students known for its lively crowds and cheap drinks. Throughout the night, Brian and Clint visited several other bars, taking shots and enjoying the lively atmosphere. Brian reportedly became quite intoxicated as the night wore on, but he seemed to be in good spirits, joking and laughing with Clint. Around midnight, the pair met up with Clint's friend, Meredith Reed, who offered them a ride back to the Ugly Tuna Saloon for one last round of drinks before closing. Surveillance footage captured Brian, Clint, and Meredith riding an escalator up to the bar on the second floor of the complex at 1:15 in the morning on April 1st. The three were seen mingling and chatting with other patrons, with Brian appearing to enjoy himself despite his intoxicated state. At around 1:55 a.m., Brian was captured on camera outside the bar, talking briefly with two women who were also patrons that night. The footage shows Brian smiling and engaging in casual conversation, seemingly in good spirits. He then re-entered the bar, and this was the last time Brian was ever seen. The bar closed shortly after 2 a.m., and when it was time to leave, Clint and Meredith searched for Brian but couldn't find him. They assumed he had gone home on his own, a not uncommon occurrence during nights out, and left the bar without him. Brian never returned to his apartment, and when he missed a flight to Miami with Alexis 2 days later, His family and friends knew something was wrong. Alexis, who had been trying to reach Brian by phone throughout the weekend, was distraught when she couldn't contact him. She, along with Brian's father Randy and brother Derek, reported him missing, and the Columbus Police Department launched a massive investigation into his disappearance. The initial phase of the investigation focused on the possibility that Brian had left the bar on his own and was perhaps injured or lost somewhere nearby. However, extensive searches of the area, including nearby construction sites, dumpsters, and the Olentangy River, turned up no clues. The possibility that Brian had wandered off and succumbed to the elements or suffered an accident was quickly ruled out, as the area was thoroughly combed by both law enforcement and volunteer searches. Despite the exhaustive efforts, Brian's disappearance remained a mystery, leaving his loved ones desperate for answers and the community in shock. As the investigation progressed, attention turned to the surveillance footage from the Ugly Tuna Saloon and surrounding businesses. The footage was carefully reviewed, revealing something incredibly puzzling. Every person who entered and exited the bar that night was accounted for, except Brian. The footage clearly showed him re-entering the bar at 1:55 a.m., but there was no footage of him leaving, leading to wild speculation that he might have found a way out that wasn't covered by the cameras. However, all exits were either heavily monitored or led to areas that had been thoroughly searched. The police interviewed everyone who had been at the bar that night, including Clint and Meredith. Clint, who had been one of Brian's closest friends, cooperated with the investigation, but refused to take a polygraph test, which fueled rumors and suspicions. Some speculated that Clint knew more than he was letting on, though there was no concrete evidence to suggest his involvement in Brian's disappearance. Meredith, on the other hand, took and passed a polygraph test, which seemed to clear her of any suspicion. As the investigation continued, various theories emerged. Some believed Brian had met with foul play, possibly targeted by someone inside the bar or outside. The fact that he was intoxicated made him potentially vulnerable, but there were no signs of a struggle, and no one reported hearing or seeing anything unusual. Others speculated that Brian had staged his disappearance, perhaps driven by the recent loss of his mother and the pressures of medical school. However, his bank accounts, credit cards, and cell phone remained untouched, and there was no indication that he had planned to vanish. One chilling possibility that gained traction in the years following Brian's disappearance was that he had fallen victim to a serial killer. Internet sleuths and some investigators suggested a connection between Brian's case and the smiley face killer theory, which posited that a group of killers was responsible for the deaths of young men across the Midwest, often near bodies of water. The theory, which was based on the presence of smiley face graffiti near some of the sites where bodies were found, was controversial and largely dismissed by law enforcement. However, it captured the public's imagination and led to speculation that Brian might have been targeted by such a killer. Despite the intriguing nature of this theory, no definitive evidence linked Brian's case to the smiley face killer, and it remains a topic of debate among true crime enthusiasts. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the hope of finding Brian alive dwindled. His family, particularly his father Randy and brother Derek, were devastated by his disappearance. Randy Shaffer became a tireless advocate for finding his son, working closely with the police, and even hiring private investigators to explore leads that the police might not have had the resources to pursue. Tragically, Randy was killed in a freak accident in September 2008 when a tree limb fell on him during a windstorm. His death was a devastating blow to the family, already reeling from the loss of Brian. And it marked the end of one of the most vocal and determined efforts to find him. Alexis Wagoner, Brian's girlfriend, was heartbroken by his disappearance. The two had been planning a future together, and she called his cell phone every night for months, hoping against hope that he would answer. On one occasion, months after his disappearance, the call rang several times before going to voicemail, which gave her a brief glimmer of hope. However, the phone company explained that this was likely due to a glitch in the system, not evidence that Brian was alive. Despite the heartbreak, Alexis remained supportive of the Shaffer family and continued to hold out hope that Brian would one day be found. Brian Shaffer's name and face remain etched in the public consciousness, and his case is frequently discussed on true crime forums, podcasts, and television shows. The mystery of his disappearance, combined with the eerie surveillance footage that shows him seemingly vanishing into thin air, has kept the case in the spotlight for nearly 2 decades. Despite the passage of time, the case has never gone cold. The Columbus Police Department continues to receive tips and leads, though none have led to a breakthrough. Over the years, several theories about what happened to Brian Shaffer have emerged. Some believe that Brian, overwhelmed by grief and the pressures of medical school, decided to start a new life. This theory suggests that he planned his disappearance meticulously, perhaps with the help of someone close to him, and has been living under an assumed identity ever since. However, this theory seems unlikely, given that he left behind everything, including his loved ones and all his possessions, and there has been no credible evidence to suggest that he is alive and well somewhere. Another theory is that Brian was murdered, either inside the bar or after leaving through an exit, not covered by cameras. The lack of evidence, such as a body or personal belongings, makes this theory difficult to prove. Some have speculated that he may have been the victim of an accidental death that was subsequently covered up, possibly by someone who panicked and disposed of his body in a way that ensured it would never be found. However, this theory is also challenging to substantiate, given the thoroughness of the searches and the lack of any physical evidence. Some suggest that Brian may have accidentally fallen or been injured in a way that concealed his body, perhaps at a construction site or in the Olentangy River. Yet extensive searches have yielded no signs of him, and this theory doesn't fully explain how he could have vanished without being captured on camera leaving the bar. In the quiet, sun-soaked streets of Henderson, Nevada, a seemingly ordinary December afternoon in 2009 turned into a chilling mystery that remains unsolved to this day. Stephen Koecher, a kind-hearted and deeply religious 30-year-old, was captured on surveillance cameras calmly walking away from his parked car in an upscale neighborhood. Based in his usual white dress shirt and dark pants, Stephen appeared purposeful, as if he knew exactly where he was going. But after that moment he simply vanished, leaving behind his car, his cell phone, and a trail of unanswered questions. Stephen Koecher was born on November 1, 1979 in Amarillo, Texas, a city known for its wide-open spaces and strong community ties. The second of 4 children, Stephen was raised in a close-knit and devoutly religious family where faith played a central role in daily life. Growing up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Stephen was known for his kindness, his strong moral compass, and his unwavering commitment to his faith. He was the type of person who always had a smile on his face and a kind word for everyone he met. As a child, Stephen was active in his church and in the Boy Scouts, where he earned the prestigious rank of Eagle Scout. His achievements in scouting were a testament to his dedication, leadership, and determination, qualities that would define him throughout his life. Stephen was also a bright student, well-liked by his teachers and peers at Amarillo High School, where he graduated in 1998. After high school, Stephen attended Ricks College in Rexburg, Idaho, now known as Brigham Young University, Idaho, and later transferred to the University of Utah, where he earned a degree in communications in 2004. Stephen's passion for journalism led him to work as a reporter and editor for a small newspaper in Salt Lake City, Utah. He loved telling stories that connected with the community and shed light on important issues. Stephen's work was guided by his strong ethics and his desire to make a positive impact through his writing. However, like many in the journalism industry during that time, Stephen faced significant challenges finding stable employment. The newspaper industry was undergoing major changes and job security was increasingly hard to come by. In 2007, Stephen moved to St. George, Utah, a scenic city known for its beautiful landscapes and strong sense of community. He took a job with the Spectrum, a local newspaper, but unfortunately the position was short-lived due to budget cuts. Despite this setback, Stephen remained optimistic and continued to search for new opportunities. He took on various jobs, including working for a home security company, and he remained active in his church, where he was a valued and beloved member of the congregation. By 2009, however, Stephen's life had taken a difficult turn. He was struggling financially, facing mounting debt, and his rent was overdue. Despite these challenges, Stephen continued to maintain a positive outlook. He kept in regular contact with his family, who were deeply concerned about his situation, but also admired his resilience and determination to find a way forward. In early December 2009, Stephen mentioned to his family that he was exploring job opportunities in Las Vegas, Nevada, which was about a 2-hour drive from St. George. He spoke of having a few interviews lined up and expressed hope that something would work out soon. Although his family was worried about him, they were encouraged by his optimism and his efforts to improve his situation. On December 12, 2009, Stephen left his apartment in St. George and drove south toward Las Vegas. Along the way, he made a few stops, including one at a gas station in Mesquite, Nevada, where surveillance cameras captured him buying gas. His journey continued, and he eventually arrived in a quiet, upscale residential neighborhood called Sun City Anthem in Henderson, a suburb of Las Vegas. At around noon on December 13, 2009, Stephen's white Chevrolet Cavalier was seen on surveillance cameras driving into a cul-de-sac on Savannah Springs Avenue in Sun City Anthem. The footage shows Stephen parking his car, getting out, and walking down the street. He was dressed in a white dress shirt and dark pants, and he appeared calm and purposeful, as if he knew where he was going. This was the last time anyone saw Stephen Koecher. When Stephen didn't return home and failed to contact his family, they quickly realized something was wrong. It was completely out of character for Stephen to disappear without a word, especially with the holidays approaching. His family reported him missing to the police, and a search for Stephen was launched. Investigators soon located Stephen's car, which had been left parked in the cul-de-sac where he was last seen. Inside the car, they found several personal items, including Stephen's cell phone, job applications, and some other belongings. However, there were no signs of foul play, no indication of where Stephen might have gone, and no obvious clues to explain his disappearance. The car was in good condition, and there were no signs of a struggle. The discovery of Stephen's car raised more questions than answers. Why had he driven to this particular neighborhood? What was his purpose there? And where did he go after he was seen walking away from his car? The surveillance footage provided no clear answers, and the investigation quickly hit a dead end. The days and weeks that followed were filled with uncertainty and growing concern. Stephen's family traveled to Henderson to assist in the search, passing out flyers and speaking with residents in the area where his car was found. Stephen Koecher's disappearance is one of the most perplexing and heartbreaking mysteries of recent years. A kind, hard-working, and deeply religious young man, Stephen seemed to vanish without a trace, leaving behind only questions and heartache. His case serves as a haunting reminder of how someone can disappear, even in an age where we are constantly connected and monitored by technology. As the investigation continued, the police explored several theories about what might have happened to Stephen. One theory was that Stephen had traveled to Henderson for a job interview or to meet someone, but no evidence was found to support this idea. Another possibility was that Stephen had experienced some kind of crisis, perhaps financial or emotional, that led him to leave his life behind. However, those who knew Stephen found it difficult to believe that he would disappear voluntarily, especially without saying anything to his family. The case grew colder as time passed, with no new leads or significant developments. Despite their efforts to keep the case in the public eye, including appearances on national television shows and interviews with the media, Stephen's disappearance remained a mystery. In the years following Stephen's disappearance, various theories have been proposed, but none have provided definitive answers. Some believe that Stephen may have met with foul play, possibly encountering someone in the neighborhood who had bad intentions. Others think that Stephen may have wandered off into the desert and succumbed to the harsh conditions, although no evidence has been found to support this theory. The case took a particularly troubling turn when it was revealed that Stephen's finances were in dire straits at the time of his disappearance. He was deeply in debt, and his bank accounts were nearly empty. This led some to speculate that Stephen may have been desperate and possibly involved in something dangerous, but again, there is no evidence to support this idea. Despite the lack of answers, Stephen's family has never given up hope. They continue to search for him, holding on to the belief that one day they will find out what happened to their beloved son and brother. The pain of not knowing has been overwhelming, but their faith and determination have kept them going. As the years go by, the search for Stephen continues, with the hope that one day the truth will come to light. His family, friends, and those who have followed his story hold on to the hope that Stephen will be found and that they will finally have the answers they so desperately seek. Until then, Stephen Koecher's disappearance remains an unsolved mystery, a story of a life interrupted and a family left waiting for a resolution that has yet to come. Corrie Mckeague was a young man whose vibrant personality and promising career made his sudden and unexplained disappearance in 2016 all the more baffling. Born on September 16, 1993 in Scotland, Corrie grew up in Dunfermline with his two brothers. His parents, Nicola Urquhart and Martin Mckeague, separated when he was young, but both remained actively involved in his life. Corrie was known for his sense of humor and his outgoing nature. Friends and family described him as fun-loving, loyal, and larger than life, someone who could light up a room with his presence. Corrie's path led him to join the Royal Air Force at the age of 18. He served as a gunner and medic with the RAF regiment stationed at Honington in Suffolk, England. Corrie found a sense of belonging in the military, embracing the camaraderie and challenges of his role. Despite his demanding job, Corrie maintained close ties with his family and friends. He loved socializing and was a regular at local pubs and clubs. In September 2016, Corrie was stationed at RAF Honington. On the night of September 23rd, he decided to join friends for a night out in Bury St. Edmunds, a nearby town known for its lively nightlife. Corrie drove into town that evening intending to leave his car overnight and enjoy himself. It was a typical Friday night for the 23-year-old, filled with laughter, drinks, and the company of good friends. The group started the evening at a bar, enjoying drinks and chatting. Corrie was described as being in high spirits, joking and singing with his friends. At one point, they moved to a nightclub where Corrie continued to drink and socialize. However, as the night wore on, he became visibly intoxicated. Around 1 a.m., staff at the nightclub asked him to leave due to his level of drunkenness. Separated from his friends, Corrie decided to get some food. He walked to his favorite takeaway spot, Pizza Mamma Mia, where he ordered an enormous meal, a testament to his jovial and carefree personality. Witnesses saw him sitting in a nearby doorway, eating his food and possibly dozing off briefly. The last confirmed sighting of Corrie occurred at 3:25 a.m. on September 24th, when CCTV captured him walking into a loading bay area in Brent Govell Street. This area was behind a row of shops, including a Greg's Bakery and a clothing store. Corrie appeared to be alone and unsteady on his feet. What happened next remains a mystery. When Corrie failed to show up for work on Monday, September 26th, his colleagues grew concerned and reported him missing. His family was notified, and Nicola Urquhart immediately traveled to Suffolk to assist in the search for her son. The investigation into Corrie's disappearance quickly became one of the most extensive and high-profile missing person cases in the UK. Police reviewed hours of CCTV footage, conducted door-to-door inquiries, and searched the surrounding areas. They discovered that Corrie's mobile phone had connected to a cell tower near Barton Mills, about 12 miles from Bury St. Edmunds, around 8 a.m. on September 24th. However, the signal was lost shortly afterward, and the phone was never recovered. One of the most perplexing aspects of the case was the lack of CCTV evidence showing Corrie leaving the area where he was last seen. The loading bay was surrounded by cameras, yet none captured him exiting. This led investigators to focus on the possibility that Corrie had climbed into a bin in the area and was accidentally taken away by a refuse truck. The bin theory gained traction when police discovered that a garbage truck had collected waste from the loading bay around 4 o'clock in the morning on September 24th. The truck's route matched the movement of Corrie's phone before it disconnected. Initially, it was reported that the weight of the waste collected that morning was insufficient to include a human body. However, further investigation revealed that the truck's weight records might have been inaccurate. Search efforts centered on a landfill site in Milton, Cambridgeshire, where waste from the truck was taken. The operation, which lasted several months, involved sifting through thousands of tons of garbage by hand. Despite the thorough search, no trace of Corrie was found. The landfill search cost over £1 million and drew significant media attention, but it failed to provide answers. As the investigation continued, various theories emerged about what might have happened to Corrie. Some speculated that he had wandered off and succumbed to hypothermia, while others suggested foul play. The lack of evidence and conflicting information fueled public fascination with the case. Corrie's family, particularly his mother Nicola, became vocal advocates for finding answers. Nicola, a police officer herself, used her knowledge and resources to raise awareness about her son's disappearance. She appeared on television, organized community searches, and worked tirelessly to keep Corrie's case in the public eye. In the years following Corrie's disappearance, the police faced criticism for their handling of the case. Some questioned why the bin theory wasn't pursued more aggressively from the beginning, while others pointed to potential delays in the investigation. Despite these challenges, authorities maintained that they had done everything possible to find Corrie. In 2018, Suffolk police announced that they were scaling back their investigation, citing a lack of new leads. Corrie's family expressed frustration but vowed to continue searching for answers independently. Nicola launched a crowdfunding campaign to fund private searches and investigations, demonstrating her unwavering determination to find her son. As of today, Corrie Mckeague's fate remains unknown. His case has left a lasting impact on those who knew him and on the wider community. It serves as a haunting reminder of how someone can vanish without a trace, leaving behind a trail of questions and heartbreak. Corrie's story is one of love, loss, and the enduring hope of a family determined to uncover the truth. His disappearance continues to be one of the UK's most mysterious cases, captivating the public and inspiring efforts to prevent similar tragedies.